Going on, people? It's your boy Tops back again for another Hot Off the Press show. Before I get into it, please like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff to make the channel grow. Let's go, people, on the road to 600. Now let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. Boy, Arteta, yeah, it wasn't the best press conference, to be honest with you, in terms of news. So we're really worrying news. On ETHAN Injured's injury, unfortunately, he's picked up an injury and he's going to be out for a few weeks. No. He was literally our best attacker for the last 2 games, man. He's the one that was taking, obviously, the responsibility since Saka has been injured and is probably going to be ruled out for the rest of the season. And to hear that he's picked up an injury, it looks like that's going to be at least a month if it's a muscle injury. They go on to say, what type of injury is it? It's a muscular one. So, yeah, he's going to be out for at least a month. And it's actually very worrying. He's going to be out for a month because the amount of games we've got this month is absolutely scary. We've got a load of games this month, 9 in total, and he's going to be missing games like Man United, games like Spurs, and we really do need him. And if Kai Havertz will be back for the Newcastle game, I hope so, but I don't want to say yes again because the last time I thought he would be back and he was not fit for the Brighton game. Excuse me. So yeah, that's obviously another worry because Kai Havertz is our only striker. He's the guy that well, he's not even really a striker, really. He's a false 9, but he's the one. He's been our top scorer this season, and yeah, we're gonna need him as well because we are down to the bare bones, literally. And if there's any issues with illness, yes. So obviously he's still ill. There's been obviously a massive virus bug going around the team. Apparently the likes of Martinelli, Havertz, Odegaard, as well as a few others have been affected. Rice as well as some others. So, yeah, not a great time to get this, especially when we're missing key players out with injury like Ben White and Saka. And if we could be missing other players, hopefully not. Again, that doesn't sound the most promising. On how much importance plays on the semi-final. We are very excited to play the game in front of our crowd. A semi-final, an opportunity to earn the right to be in the final, and that starts tomorrow with 2 legs. Obviously, there's going to be 2 long games against a very competitive team. We know that, but very excited. We need a big performance and a big atmosphere. I'm really worried about this game, man. I'm really worried about it. I think we could be in problems, man. And we at least have to be winning by at least 2 goals, in my opinion, to have any chance going through. Because if I'm being honest, I just can't see us scoring against their low block. We've not scored with their low block in the last 2 seasons at St. James's Park with Saka, and he's our best player going forward. So, yeah, we're going to struggle. Obviously, we struggled there this season. To be fair, which has been pretty weird, the last 2 times we've gone to St. James's Park, Kai Havertz has actually not played up front, I don't think. I think, obviously, this season it was Trossard that was up front playing that false 9, and the season before it was Eddie Nketiah. So, yeah. But again, he might not be playing in this game as well because obviously he's been ill. So, yeah, a bit of a worry, man. A bit of a worry on what winning the competition will do for the squad. I don't know. We have to win tomorrow. There is a long way to go, so we have to try and be better than the opposition and win the game. And how to stop Alexander Isak. He's a top player in top form, scoring a lot of goals, and we try to minimize the strength of the opposition. That's a big part of the plan, and we're going to when we're going to play any opponent. So, yeah, I think when it comes to obviously playing Alexander Isak, I do feel like it's going to be a struggle in terms of obviously stopping him from playing, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, because I've seen somewhere he's got like 11 goals in 12 games or something crazy like that. So, yeah, very difficult, man. Very difficult. But yeah, boom. He goes on to say, on Newcastle's midfield, I think about my players, the ones that we have available, and how to get the best out of them. So yeah, he's obviously not trying to think about Newcastle midfield, but I do feel like Arteta does think about oppositions quite a lot, maybe too much sometimes, if I'm being honest. Because yeah, obviously he's very cautious about obviously dropping points, and in this case, obviously not making it to the final. On the Brighton penalty at the weekend, I gave my opinion. Unfortunately, we played twice against Brighton, one for another reason for 45 minutes with 10 men, another with a penalty that clearly is not a penalty, but those conditions that we played in, we cannot change now. Yeah, we can't change it. It's done now. We have to just move on in it, in my opinion. And if there's any chance to add to the squad before the end of January, that hasn't changed. Again, the focus is our players. Whatever it is in the market, we're very alert, but the priority is working with players that we have at the moment and tomorrow night, which is a big night for us. It's not a yes, it's not a no. Obviously, it's not the best of news. The thing is, with obviously transfer news, you got to take it with a pinch of salt for the simple fact that Arteta can obviously say we're in the market for one, but then obviously that puts pressure on him and the club to get one because he's already said it. So he's never going to come out and say, yeah, we're definitely going to sign someone, just in case they don't. And because with the way he obviously operates, he wants particular players, and if they're not available, he'd rather not go with anything. Where in some cases it can be obviously an advantage, but for the position we're in now, I don't think it is, man. We need to do everything we can, get any kind of quality we can to try and get over the line. This is the last stretch now, man. This is the last part of this obviously process, project, phase, whatever you want to call it. This is supposed to be the last bit where you get the rewards. And we are 3 or 4 real key players away from getting it. But if we can get 1 or 2 in January, obviously that will help. And if the semi-final should be 1 game, it doesn't matter. They have 2 beautiful games to play. My opinion is it unfortunately, so I have to pick. It would be one at home. If you give me the chance, that would be the one I like. Yeah, obviously, if it was a one-off game, then I'd be a bit more confident. But because it's 2 legs against a resolute team, and Newcastle's low block, man, crazy, man. When they implement it right, very difficult to score against. You look at the likes of Manchester City going there; they only really got 1 goal, and that was a moment of brilliance from Maguire. Other than that, they didn't really look like scoring. Obviously, we didn't score there. Liverpool got 3, but ended up drawing the game anyway. Yeah, very difficult place to go. Obviously, Chelsea lost there in the League Cup as well. Spurs have lost home and away to them. So you look at all the traditional Big 6 sides, all of them have really kind of struggled to play against them, home or away. On what Eddie Howe has done differently recently, I don't know. That's a question for him. Yeah, I don't know why they ask him questions about other managers. It's just a bit strange. I don't know. That's a question for him. They're really sort of pointing it for everyone because they're a really good side. They're really well coached. They have a really good individual players. The same as it's difficult to play against us as well. I'm being able to hear the VAR in the stadium during the semi-finals. Now, this is a good thing. I think they've actually introduced for the obviously match-going fans. Any decision that brings clarity and communication that is clear in transparency, and I think it's helpful. The only thing that's a bit weird without this whole competition is that obviously in the previous rounds, VAR has not been a thing, and now they're introducing it. Obviously, we had a goal that should have been given offside to Gabriel Jesus in the last game, but obviously didn't have VAR. So yeah, I just think it's a bit weird. We have a competition where some rounds have it, some rounds don't. But yeah, them being able to communicate to the fans is definitely better, because I've been to games where the fans are obviously wondering what the hell's going on, whether it's a handball, penalty, red card, whatever, and there's no real clarity on the decision made. So yeah, that should be interesting to see how that is gonna work. And if he's enjoyed the season, I love it. We are in all competitions. We are where we want to be in the most of them. Obviously, in the league, for a lot of circumstances, we are not where we want to be, which is tough. I understand that willingness to be better in every single day to try and improve and not look for excuses, because in anything that you do, you look for excuses, you're going to find them. The challenges are, there are situations that we are facing. We are trying to do the very best to overcome, and that's still be a very good team. I mean, what he has just said is facts. We are still in every competition, and yeah, I do actually like him saying there's no excuses, man. But obviously that has to include yourself, Mikel. I can't lie. That has to include yourself in terms of obviously your decision making in terms of players. And obviously we have had some decisions that have been a bit questionable. To be fair, my main gripe with the team has been more Mikel's decisions in terms of playing certain players, and obviously the transfer window, which could be partly Mikel, partly the board. But yeah, that's been my issue really, if I'm being honest, rather than other factors. On Kieran Tierney, there's absolutely no news. Kieran is our player. He's going to stay, obviously, till the end of the season now, I believe. He might do like a pre-contract to Celtic, but he'll stay. I don't think it'd be interesting if he plays, but I got a feeling he has to. For me, Lewis Skelly comes in, man. Calafiori, even though obviously he's getting a bit. I thought that was his best game for Arsenal. Obviously he's got skinned a few times, but I thought overall he was actually decent. And how hard it is to be tactically trying to come up with solutions to problems. It's good. It's a good learning process, not only tactically, but also preparation and training with very few players. Today, we have 7 or 8 players with us just to fill the squad, which isn't normal, but it's a weird way to learn, but I'll take it. I cannot change this. Let's take the things we can get out of it and be better. Yeah, obviously, there's the rumor that there's a load of viruses going around. Obviously, not just Arsenal, but other teams. And yeah, we've got injuries as well. So obviously, it's difficult. It's difficult to maintain, and it's difficult obviously to do in terms of being able to be consistent with the team selection. But again, I don't think the squad was at the adequate level anyway beforehand. Obviously, to manage obviously the expectation of all these games that have been going on. So yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one really. On Mikel Merino's adaptation to the team, I think in the last 2 weeks he's made a big stride. Obviously, he's had more minutes, physically he's been in a much better place. He missed the whole preseason and he missed a lot of weeks with injury, and I can tell he's growing. Yeah, obviously, again, I mean, the problem with Moreno, again, it's similar with quite a few of these signings, man. Moreno, Havertz, they're decent squad players, but because there's been such a reliance of them being the game changers to get us over the line, that's all it, for me, that's the big thing. If Arteta starts winning trophies, then I think obviously these players can be obviously subsidized to being squad players, and there's not so much pressure on them. But because we're looking for them star players to get us over the line, and then we buy it in that position, and he's neat and tidy. He's okay. He's just a squad player, in my opinion, so far. Obviously, he's only not been at the club the whole season yet. But yeah, I just think obviously I've seen quite a few people say that he'll make like a great turn, but then he'll just pass it back or slow down the play. And I just want him to like speed up a bit. And on how a two-legged tie with the away leg last changes things. It's similar to the Champions League, but the aim is to always win the game, be better than the opposition, and earn the right to win the game. That's not going to change because we've had a lot of games. Yeah, I actually, to be honest with you, I think I prefer us being at home first, because if we were away first, I feel like we probably would have struggled to score a goal. And we could have been pretty much, there would have been a high chance of us even losing the game without scoring. And then there's a lot of pressure to go back to the Emirates and win by X amount of goal, 3-1, 4-1. Whereas I think with this, if we can try and get a good lead and then go there, have them try and open up, and then there's a bit more space. That's, I think, the key. Because obviously they're not going to be able to do the low block if they're chasing the game in the second half. But they still have good players to hurt you. On having to reactivate in the January transfer window, lowering our expectations. Hopefully not, because we have set very high standards, and we really want to only have players that are here coming in from the academy, or have to sign players to really elevate and impact the team. Otherwise, just bringing in bodies doesn't help. With that, I agree with, but you've got to make the right signings, man. They've got to be top tier signings, in my opinion, to help obviously Arsenal get through. Because at the minute, it's just looking like, it's going to be another season where we're struggling to win any kind of major honours. I'm hoping that Emirates atmosphere can affect the opposition. I admire the Emirates the most, 100%. The way we can feel at the Emirates with our people is incredible, and I'm positive that tomorrow we're going to create a big one against a really good opposition in the semi-final of the Cup. We want to win, so let's go for it. And whether it was a mistake not to have a winter break, certainly it would have helped every team, and especially the players, because we're putting more games on their back for the last 2 seasons in a row, and that have been in really high numbers. We knew from the start that if you are in every competition, you're not going to have a breaks, and that's how we've prepared for as well. On whether it's impossible for players to play every minute with our style, sometimes it's the credit to the opposition as well, because it can be extremely demanding, and the way we play as well, when you have less players and less capacity to rotate, it becomes more difficult. But the idea and the aim is to be able to sustain that. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I said, we're in all competitions, which is a good thing, but I don't think the squad can manage it at the minute. And obviously, we've been really, really struggling with it so far. So, yeah, I think it's key for us to obviously make sure that obviously we do as much as we can in every particular game. On how Ethan is doing, he doesn't really know. He said, I'm feeling something, but I don't really know what it is. He has earned the right to step up and play for us. And now he starts to have some games, some big games as well, and impact those games, which he's done in the different positions as well. So I'm gutted for him, because he's going to stop that for a little bit. But it's another step in his development phase that he's in. But I'm really happy with the way he's going. So yeah, he's probably not going to be back till like February. On when Raheem Sterling will be back, hopefully very soon. So yeah, that's pretty much it about the press conference at the minute. Yeah, obviously worrying signs, man. Worrying signs with the injury list. If I go on like who we would have available and what my team would be, I think let's have a look at the players. Obviously, Neto is cup tied to Davire in goal. Saliba and Gabriel for me have to play this. When you get to that semi-final, guys, what you have to realize is that you're like literally 2 games away from getting to the final. So, and that's the piece of silverware. We've not won any silverware of note in 5 years. So, for me, you have to play your best team. I think it's more important to win this game than the Man United game. For the simple fact we're so far in the competition, even though the FA Cup's a bigger, obviously, trophy. We're so far in the competition, and it's important for these guys. The thing is as well, we've not even been to a final. Never mind won anything since we won the FA Cup in 2020. So, I think it's a great opportunity. Newcastle are a good team, but it's not a team that we can't beat over 2 legs. No, especially if you look at how we're going to obviously go into the Champions League, hopefully in the knockout stages. I mean, thinking about that as well, I don't think I've actually fully like contemplated, or because for me, if Saka's out for the rest of the season, if we actually get to certain positions, we're going to be in possibly the League Cup final without him, possibly Champions League game against like Real Madrid or Bayern Munich or whoever, Liverpool maybe without him. Like FA Cup, if we get far in that without him, League Cup, league games, crucial league games, we're going to be without him as well. So yeah, it's a massive, massive worry, you know. It's a massive, massive worry. Let's have a look. Obviously, then I'll go with Urin Timber back at right back. Left back, Mars Lewis Skelly, man. Definitely go with him. Partey back in that 6. Rice in the 8. Odegaard, if he's obviously not, obviously he's still feeling unwell, back. And then, again, you've got Saka injured. Havertz feeling under the weather. Sterling, I did see him post. It might be an auto, but he did actually post on his Instagram about the game, and that normally means he's in the squad. So maybe he's back. But even if he is, I imagine he'd only be on the bench because he's missed obviously a few games. I mean, again, this is actually a prime opportunity for Sterling actually to get a lot of minutes because Saka's he's out, and then we've got a lot of games coming up thick and fast. So yeah, this is actually the time for Sterling to actually step up. But yeah, I think it's going to be Trossard on the left, Jesus up front. I don't think Havertz is. If Havertz is in the squad, he'll be on the bench, and then Martinelli on the right. I've not been impressed with Martinelli at all in terms of his overall play on the right hand side. I don't think he's been good enough, if I'm being honest. But yeah, and obviously I've just seen Bruno Guimaraes is obviously cup tied. So not cup tied, sorry, suspended for this first leg. So that's obviously positive news. So they won't be playing that obviously pivotal mid-3 of Joe Linton, Tonali and Bruno. So that is obviously a plus for Arsenal. But they've still got that block. And it's definitely going to be Dan Burns in there somewhere. Obviously, Bosman has just come back. Your man Scher as well. And Livramento and Lewis Hall. I was really impressed with them against Spurs obviously at the weekend. I thought they played really, really well. So yeah, it's going to be a difficult game, man. It's going to be a very difficult game. I feel like, if I'm honest, it could be too difficult. Maybe, but it's all dependent, man. It's all dependent on how we play. I'm probably going to go with I think it's going to be time, man. I think we might just about win. Maybe we have been keeping a decent amount of clean sheets at home. So maybe like a 1-0 win. I don't think... but Newcastle, I can see them scoring. Okay, 2-1. I'll go 2-1. I think it'll be a 2-1 win to Arsenal. But it's going to be very difficult. For me, we need to at least score 2 goals to make sure we've got a decent cushion to go back to St. James's Park. Because one thing I will say about Arsenal, obviously touch wood, they're not a team that gets beat 2-3-0, really. Even when we had 10 men, obviously Bournemouth beat us 2-0, but one was a penalty, and we had 10 men for the majority of the game. Newcastle only beat us 1-0. Inter Milan beat us 1-0 with a penalty. So we're not a team that gets battered, which is obviously a good thing. So if we do get that lead, then Newcastle are going to have to put in one hell of a performance to beat us by 2 or 3 goals. So that's one of the key things I think that's going to be very, very key. But yeah, man, it'd be interesting to see how we get on. And obviously we need to make sure we need to get to this final, guys. We do. Whether it's against Liverpool or Spurs, we need to make sure we beat Newcastle over to you guys, get to this final and win a trophy. Arsenal fans need to be seeing their team lift some silverware, man. Have some pictures in the bank. You know, people like Saliba, we're not seeing him with a trophy. Gabriel has been here, 4 or 5 years. Partey the same, been here 4 or 5 years, not really won anything major. So, yeah, that needs to be a massive thing. That needs to happen, if I'm being honest. Otherwise, I think if we don't do that, there's going to be severe pressure on the manager if we don't manage to win anything this season, because the league looks like it's going to be very, very difficult to win, especially with the injuries we're getting. Some of the decisions have not been great, but the man management, I don't think from Arteta has been the best either throughout the season. And I do feel like the January transfer window, we need to sign a few players, if I'm being honest, I don't know if we're going to sign anyone. I thought we would have seen a bit more concrete, obviously, rumours. Because for me, it's not even just signing someone in January. We need to sign someone pretty early in January. There's no point signing someone towards the end when we're out of the FA Cup potentially. Could be obviously trailing the League Cup potentially. Could be even further behind in the league potentially. Obviously, Champions League we've got as well. So I think it's very, very obviously pivotal that we make sure that we sign some players in January. But yeah, that's it for the obviously Arsenal hot off the press show. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, I'll be back later, obviously, for the big game later on, Arsenal versus Newcastle. Watch along, stay tuned for that. But until then, like, subscribe, share, people on the road to 600. Like I always say, don't hate the player, hate the game. And yeah, until then, and until tonight, make sure you tune in tonight for the watch along. I'm out.